Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. As we draw towards the end of October, the color that remains on the landscape belongs to the fall foliage. It's during the summer that Vermont communities are bursting with colorful flower gardens. In cities and towns around the state, UVM Extension Master Gardeners cultivate gardens through demonstrations and volunteer education. The Master Gardener volunteers promote successful, safe, and environmentally friendly horticulture practices. To learn more, here's Across the Fence's Rebecca Gollin.
It's Saturday morning in Burlington, and residents and tourists alike are flocking to the farmers market. There's local food and craft to satisfy every taste. But just around the corner are some locally grown items that are not for sale.
Everything that you see in the front here are all annuals. In the back are all mostly perennials. So it's a mixture, so we have constant color.
Here at the entrance to Church Street, color abounds.
The zinnias do really well here, so we've kept with that for quite a while. The petunias really do well here. We've tried a few other things, but the petunias seem to do the best. And of course, it's the weather. So we never know what it's going to be. So this year, it's just really exceptional.
While the weather does contribute to this bounty of flowers, the credit for keeping everything looking good goes to volunteers like Jill Lamoth.
We start with planting in the spring, around May, and then from then on it's deadheading, keeping things cleaned and looking nice.
As a UVM Extension certified Master Gardener, Lamoth volunteers her time. She's the project leader here at the gardens in front of Burlington City Hall, where she and other volunteers spend their Saturday mornings tending these plants.
It is only a few hours a week, but sometimes that's all you need just to keep things looking nice. I love gardening, so when I walk through here, when we're not working on the gardens, you know, it's kind of nice to say, oh, we worked in those, and it really adds something to the marketplace.
The City Hall project is in coordination with Church Street Marketplace as well as the City of Burlington. And the Master Gardeners there both provide hands-on gardening work outside City Hall, but they also answer questions as they're there. So they're there basically to share the information that they learned during the Extension Master Gardener course with their communities.
Although it does get busy here on Church Street, Lamoth says that she and her colleagues always have time to field those questions from anyone passing by, although she doesn't claim to have all the answers.
If it's something we can't answer, we'll refer them to the table on the other side.
Not only you don't have to bend over, but it actually gets them warmer faster.
On the other side of City Hall, another group of Master Gardeners is taking questions.
We get a pretty steady stream of people, and the interesting thing to me is they come with many different problems, many different situations. You know, some of them are living in apartments, some of them have big spreads, some of them have very small yards, some of them are vegetables, some of them are only perennials, whatever. And a lot of them are from Vermont, but not every one of them.
It's great. We see, people from actually all over the world, and, a lot of master gardeners from all over the country. They'll say, oh, I'm a master gardener from Virginia, or my husband is one in Washington State, and we get a lot of local questions. I just got a question from someone in Fire Island, I think that's in Long Island, about what can they do about, the deer eating their plants. We get houseplant questions. You name it, we get it. I get someone brought in 3 apples, and what kind are these? It's like, well, I need to see the tree.
Susan Dorn and Michael Rooney are married, and together are the project leaders for the Master Gardeners information table at the farmers market. Both the City Hall Garden and the Ask a Gardener table are examples of the hundreds of projects Master Gardeners are involved in around the state.
Master gardeners are doing all kinds of hands-on projects. They work especially with schools, community gardens, libraries, senior centers, parks, and main streets across the state. This last year alone, Master gardeners donated over 14,000 hours to improving their communities.
Rooney and Dorn were both experienced gardeners when they took the class, but both say they learned a lot.
You learn so much from many of the experts in this state. It's a very low-key course. You get beaucoup of information, and you get to know, not just about your own garden and, vegetables and flowers, but, you get to see, learn about the trees and the wildlife outdoors and what invasives are growing that, you should help not promote, and you maybe, cut down this invasive tree or take out this invasive bush so that you can benefit, the entire environment even if you don't have a garden.
Been gardening all my life, even done some dairy farming, and came to the point that I thought it would be good to go through the educational process and see what that did. And even after all those years of gardening, I learned more from going through the course than I thought I would.
For this couple, like many others who become master gardeners, just learning is not enough. They also want to share their knowledge with others.
There's something about giving back part of what we got out of the course to other people. And if you don't give it back, they don't get it and they don't pass it on to somebody else.
Teaching their neighbors and communities what it takes to keep plants healthy, these UVM Extension Master Gardeners are hard at work, passing it on. In Burlington, I'm Rebecca Gollin with Across the Fence.
The 2016 Master Gardener program gets underway in February. You can find program information online or by calling the Master Gardener office at UVM. For our next segment, we travel to the high country of Greensboro Bend, Vermont, to get an up-close look at one of the oldest cattle breeds in the world. Highland cattle have been roaming the remote mountaintops of Scotland since the 6th century. Here in Vermont, 4 generations of the Shatney family have worked to preserve the breed in order to provide a living and to produce what some consider to be the best steak in the world. Across the Fence's Keith Silva has our story.
Highlands are thought to be one of the oldest cattle breeds in the world. Raised for centuries on the cold coasts and rugged highlands of Scotland, these animals are resilient and robust. Between their horns and distinctive long hair, nothing else looks like a Highland because nothing else is a Highland.
I get along with animals probably better than I do people. And I guess if I can get along with these Highland cattle, I guess that's enough.
Nearly 50 years ago, Ray Shatney's father thought the pedigree, uniqueness, and vigor of Highlands would be a good fit for his family's Rocky Hill farm in Greensboro Bend.
My dad, back in the late mid-60s, decided that he wanted something different besides just dairy cows, and he had a friend who had a Highland cow. He sort of inherited the Highland cow for $50, which was, I guess, was more than what she was worth back then. But he loved the Highlands, and he built a Highland herd. This farm wouldn't be worth much for anything else. It's definitely not an area for dairy farming. These hillside farms in Vermont don't do well in dairying, and it's great for the Highlands. There's wooded, and there's a lot of stone here. I think my dad purchased these places so we'd have something to do Sunday afternoon, was picking stone. And we still haven't got them all picked. A new shipment comes in every year.
Along with being hardy, Highlands are also gentle and known as easy keepers. To show how laid back his Highlands are, Shatney likes to hone his hairstyling techniques. And the cows like it too. As for those horns, well, Shatney makes sure to keep his distance when Mom is around.
The only time we have to worry that I worry about the horns, and I have the same problem with an animal without horns. They're good mothers, and they will protect a newborn calf. So we're real careful around the newborns. You'll see the calves out behind me here. Almost every one has a tag in it. The young ones that don't have a tag, Mom said I couldn't give it a tag.
Between this farm in Greensboro Bend and another in Plainfield, the entire herd numbers 170. About 2/3 are purebred Highlands, and the rest are Highland crosses. For Shatney and his wife, Janet Stewart, it's the right size herd and the perfect fit for their family.
One of the things we're trying to do is produce a model that other farmers and other people who want to farm can do. They are not a commercial breed. They are very slow growing. It is very hard to make them economically viable, which is why very few people raise them, and which is why most people who have Highland cattle stay with the breed 5 years. And so what we want to do is show people how you can be successful, because we want the Highland breed to continue.
Because Highlands don't grow as fast as more commercial breeds like Angus or Hereford, Shatney crossbreeds his Highlands with Shorthorns. This keeps the farm financially viable by being able to have more meat ready for market more often, while also maintaining the Highland genetics.
The Highland cattle in Scotland would probably be just about extinct today if it wasn't for crossbreeding. So they discovered many years ago that the Highland cattle will not survive just being Highland cattle.
The Highlands history classifies them as a heritage breed. These breeds are popular with small-scale farmers who want to raise their own meat or develop a value-added product.
Heritage is a lifestyle preservation.
Joe Emmenheiser is University of Vermont Extension's livestock specialist.
One of the most important or valuable tools in production agriculture and viability from an animal genetics or breeding standpoint is crossbreeding. And the power that's gained from crossing two breeds together is really huge. And the trick is that crossbreeding requires that the breeds be preserved and be able to be put together. And getting crossbred calves that grow considerably more efficiently, have higher meat yield, and so on and so forth, but they're still doing everything that they want to preserve the Highland breed and to enjoy them for the reasons that they have them.
As majestic as these animals are, with their long hair and long horns, their place on this farm has one purpose. Shatney sends at least one animal a week off for processing. Because the Highlands are pasture-raised and slow to grow, their meat is tender, with low levels of cholesterol and high in omega-3 fatty acids. Their hair acts as insulation, so Highlands store fat in the meat, and fat is where the flavor is at.
A lot of the key to our being able to get people familiar with the Highland beef is you get it in their mouth. And once it's in their mouth, that's what they want, because as people tell us, they've never tasted anything like it. If you look, anything fresh is $1 off per pound. I have one fresh.
Stewart believes this one-on-one, tasting is believing marketing approach gives their business a unique niche in the marketplace.
I've been to a lot of conferences where people say we've got to get into the Boston markets, we've got to get into the New York markets. That's not our goal. We want to produce healthy food for Vermonters. And we want to produce it in a way that they can come see where their food is raised, that they can come be with the animals, they can understand that this is how cattle are supposed to be raised. And right now, I don't want to have a lot of new markets. So you might say to me, how come you're not doing much more at promoting your beef? I can't raise any more beef than we're selling.
This farm and these animals have a strong pull on this family. Shatney's grandson, Philip, has started to help out. He's the next generation to develop a love for these animals and this lifestyle, something Ray understands well.
What have I learned in 50 years dealing with Highlands? Probably learned some stuff about myself. That they like being out here, and I sort of like being out here too. And no matter what else happens, when I was working, you could always come back to the farm, and but you just sat and watched them. They're awful good therapy. They feed you more ways than one.
Highland cattle. Good for the body, better for the soul. In the Highlands of Greensboro Bend, I'm Keith Silva with Across the Fence.
Thanks, Keith, and thank you for joining us. That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. I'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.